Hey y'all, it's Tara Nichole checking in with you from My DJ's Radio on The Tara Nichole Show. Have a special guest for you today. Please stay tuned for some Ready Set edutainment. Everybody, my name's Tara Nichole. I have a special treat for you today. We have Jason Hansen on the line with us. We're going to be introducing to you the concept of his safety training course, his perspective and background and experience, which is quite interesting. You'll get to see and understand. First, I'm going to start you off with a little bit of a clip, so you might see this face. You might have seen him before. Let's get familiar.
Next into the tank is a former CIA agent who wants to expose the tricks of the trade.
All right, let's do it.
Good move. These are your best part.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Got it.
Here to show us some safety secrets is an actual former CIA officer, and he's currently the owner of Spy Escape and Evasion. This man that looks like he's dressed in Men in Black is what I was just telling him. This is Jason Hansen. Jason, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to introduce you to our next guest. If you're a fan of Shark Tank, you're going, wait a second, I think I know who Jason is.
All right, you guys. So in case you didn't know, Shark Tank, you know that show people talk about every once in a while? Jason was on that show, has awesome things to present to us today, and we'll get into it. Now, Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Tara?
Very good. Thank you for coming on the show. We're here at My DJ's Radio, educating people on real-life experience, things that they should take home with them. So hopefully people will be walking away with some insight into how they can essentially maintain their life safety and all that good stuff. So I actually met Jason at a speaker conference a while back, and he wowed me with what he had to say and what he had to show. It's one of those things, they give you a little taste and then you have to know more. So you better believe I signed up for his training workshops, safety training, spyescape.com to be exact. So I just want to ask, because I know sometimes people tend to find themselves in careers that are influenced by personal experience. What got you into safety training in the first place? And being an ex-CIA agent, I mean, that's a whole history in itself.
Well, you know, honestly, I'm one of those guys that was kind of destined as a kid. So I was always shooting BB guns in the woods. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I was always out in the woods doing that scouting stuff. And when I was getting ready to graduate college, I needed a job. And I'm born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area. So, of course, as you know, every government agency in the world is based out of there. And so I sent out a ton of applications. The CIA and the Secret Service offered me a job. And I figured the CIA would be a heck of a lot more exciting, and that's the route I went, and certainly don't regret it.
Awesome. Yeah, most people are looking for waiters jobs coming out of college, and then here you are, Secret Service. That's cool. I'm glad you found your place. You seem happy with it, and you make other people prepared in life, which I certainly appreciate. I actually was especially interested in what Jason has to present because I have been concerned for my safety in the past, right? So everyone has a different reason for why they maybe get involved in his safety training courses. But I have to say that I think it's good for people of all ages and career choices and everything because different settings kind of put you in compromising positions. So who would you say your training is most pertinent to? I think everybody. So how do people get to know you and get involved, and do you exclude anyone?
Well, I've had people take my training ages 9 to 77.
Oh, wow.
So when I have the younger kids, I tell the parents the kids obviously have to be able to sit for a bit as I talk, and if you think they're mature enough, then by all means they're welcome.
Right.
So I've trained every background you can imagine, and everybody's welcome.
Okay. So you have different types of training as well, right? Because I actually jumped in on one, and it was more, I mean, how do you even explain it? You kind of cover a whole range of ideas. And we're going to bring up some pictures from this training in particular to get you guys in the feel of what to expect. So could you explain the first training that I personally experienced with you was kind of versatile and in a home setting, like how you protect yourself, and also we covered obviously many topics, but the range was from the indoor safety and online safety to outdoor training and tactics that you can use to really save yourself in certain circumstances. So what would you say, what are some of the main points that people can take away from your different training setups?
Sure. So the training you attended was called Spy, Escape, and Evasion, and that's a 2-day course where I teach you how to escape rope, how to escape duct tape, how to escape zip ties, how to make sure you're not being followed, how to make sure somebody doesn't kidnap you. As you remember, we do a trunk challenge where you have to escape out of the trunk of a vehicle, and we do a big field exercise to make sure that you can pick up if somebody's following you and has bad intentions. So that's my most popular course, and that's the one I fly around the country teaching. And then I also do an evasive driving course on my 320-acre property in Utah, and I teach pistol courses and rifle courses. So I really run the gamut of all the survival training.
Yeah, and you've even got into car scenarios of how to crash a car properly. So there's scenarios you maybe don't want to be in, but that's the point of this training. It provides a resource and suggestions for you to follow in any circumstance, even as extreme as that. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned the evasive driving course where I teach people how to properly ram a vehicle. And I teach that course to actually a lot of executives who travel around the world. And, of course, they're more apt to be kidnapped as they're going to some of these more dangerous countries where they need this evasive driving training.
Sure. And there's different types of security, right? There's at-home security. There's when you're out and shopping. I actually personally know someone who had an attempted abduction in broad daylight at a grocery store. So it's when you least expect it. So what's the format of your training? I mean, I personally know, but let's let other people know. How do you introduce some of these ideas to people? I know you put some of them in that context, but what things do you cover, like in the online sense, that they could really benefit from?
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, I try and make it interactive as possible. So when I say, hey, if you're ever kidnapped, it's going to be most likely duct tape because that's the number one way people restrain people when they're trying to kidnap them. So I teach people 2 different ways how to escape duct tape, and everybody experiences it themselves.
Sure.
Same thing being tied up in rope. Everybody experiences the 2 ways how to get out of rope. That way they know they can do it. So it's not just watching me do it. Mm-hmm. And then we also talk about home security measures. So we talk about, hey, here's the type of alarm you should get. Here's the best firearm if you like firearms. Here's the home defense plan that you should have, because every family should have a home defense plan. You don't want your home defense plan to be thought up at 3 a.m. when somebody's kicking in your front door. You need to plan ahead. That way you're safe if, heaven forbid, somebody does try to kick in your front door at 3 a.m.
Right. And you better believe I pass along a lot of these tips almost on a daily basis. Whenever there's a tangent people go off onto, and I can somehow relate it with the duct tape trick and everything.
Good.
It's good. I can't help myself. I know I should save it for you to teach them, but meanwhile.
No, pass it along. Help as many people as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And in the context of, it's one thing to feel safe yourself, but how do you teach kids and families to help keep each other safe?
Well, like I said, I've had kids as young as 9, and kids love this stuff. They think it's fun, they think it's interesting, and they really pay attention. Mm-hmm. So I teach a lot of families where they all come to my course in a group, so, mom, dad, and 2 children. And then they've all been trained under that, so they know how to point out the things such as, hey, Mom, you're not in condition yellow. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, Dad, did you set the alarms tonight? Or, don't forget, we need to do this when we get out of the vehicle. So right. Kids will really pick up on this, and a lot of times they'll point out to Mom and Dad that they should be doing X, Y, or Z for safety measures. So it's really important in security training to get everybody on board. Mm-hmm. Because if Dad or Mom is the only one who knows it and something happens, the rest of the family doesn't know how to react or what they should be doing. And obviously that's not good.
Right, for sure. I'm sure kids feel empowered just to even have that information. Most people don't have access to that. So I wish I was taught at a really young age. One of the interesting things that I find when I was thinking back on it is like, people ask me why I took this training. And if they think it's really necessary for one, I mean, when I reanalyzed different experiences in my life, it was really necessary. I got run up by a homeless person one time. I was actually kidnapped when I was younger. I know you know that. So it's real. I mean, these things, that's why I can't really watch, thrillers and action movies, because I take that stuff to be real life. I totally perceive it in a different way. So I can really appreciate what you have going on. And not only do you teach at home, but abroad. So what are some of the things that people can take with them in that context?
Now, what do you mean? What they can take with
Like,
them?
as far as training, what are some of the things that you would preach are important to do as precautionary measures in a traveling sense? Because a lot of people are aloof when it comes to vacation. You're ready to take a break, your guard is down, but what are some of the things that people can employ so that they are safe even in that setting?
Sure. I mean, one of the big ones is hotel safety. So here in the United States, you can stay in a Motel 6 or a Super 8, some W motel, and likely it's still going to be safe and nothing's bad happening. But when you travel overseas, that W hotel is a lot more dangerous. Mm-hmm. So stay at the good hotels, which are much safer, where the Americans, the tourists stay at. That's one critical thing. Is be cheap here in the U.S. if you want, but don't be cheap traveling overseas. Mm-hmm. Then when you're getting a hotel room, try and get a hotel room that is between floors 3 and 6. And the reason you want to do that is the first 2 floors are often targeted by criminals because they're easy access. Some guy can break into a first floor room and then run out to his buddy in the getaway car.
Right.
The reason you don't want to stay higher than floor 6 is because if there were a fire, you don't want to be on the 87th floor and have to run down 87 floors to escape from that building which is burning.
Right.
And what a lot of people don't know is that in the United States, a fire truck, when they pull up with their ladders, most ladders will only go to the 6th floor.
Oh, wow.
So if you're much higher than that, that fire truck isn't going to be able to rescue you.
Never thought of that. Never would have known.
But one other quick tip about hotels is no matter what floor you're on, don't stay at the room right next to the exit stairwell. Oh. Because burglars love those exit stairwell rooms. They can go and break in, and then they can immediately run down there and escape. Whereas if you're staying in the middle, let's say Las Vegas casinos are a good example. They have winding rooms everywhere. Right. Burglars not going to want to hit that middle room because that is a long escape. But, again, the stairwell is very quick escape. So never stay next to the stairwell exit. Really
good point. And, yeah, one of the things I retained from training was how when you go around a corner or if you're coming up on a stairwell, always come around with a curve. Never kind of give someone the advantage if you're not expecting someone there. And I think
always go wide. Always go wide so somebody can't pop out and hit you or grab you.
Right. And be alert and scan your environment. I mean, what you said is so true as far as being on the first floor, second floor. I was actually taken from my bedroom window, so I hate first floor buildings. Hate them. I actually just watched a documentary called Brave Miss World. Have you seen that by chance?
I have not, no.
Well, this girl, she was from Israel, and she was awarded the Miss World award, or however you say that. And weeks previous, she was actually raped by a travel agent who was supposed to take her to where she was supposed to go. So there might be people that are in a trusted position. So how can you protect yourself against people that you hope you can trust? I mean, I know that you have some tactile tools and everything like that that people can kind of use. What are some of those?
Well, yeah, I mean, I teach during my course how to become a human lie detector, so how to read people easier. Right. But to give you kind of the simple answer that wouldn't take me, a 2-day course to teach is to always trust your gut. Mm-hmm. Is each of us has that little place inside us which lets us know danger's occurring. Mm-hmm. So I've dealt with many women who, said something like, listen, I knew I shouldn't have invited that guy to my apartment, but I didn't want to hurt his feelings. Mm-hmm. Or, listen, I knew something was wrong when that guy on the bike trail was asking me questions, and I should have ran and not kept talking to him. Mm-hmm. So trust your gut. That's the number one thing you can do. Don't question it. Don't worry about societal norms and seeming rude or hurting somebody's feelings. Right. If you really feel in danger when you're around somebody, listen to that voice and immediately get away.
Okay. Then I have another question, because you said, from the training I remember, in the context of an open space, if you suspect someone, for one, they're usually following your pacing, right? So then they stand out. It's a little suspicious. But you also advise that people kind of be loud and assertive. I was thinking about that in the context of this girl, Brave Miss World. When she's in the taxi being taken, you can't really scream. Sometimes it makes you feel a little bit more vulnerable, because then those people I mean, whoever might be taking you, God forbid, would be aware that you are in a, how do you explain, pouty position. I know you also said in the context of when you're in a room and you're the loudest person, they might see you as trouble. So how do you balance out the need for other people to be aware of your maybe lack of safety in a certain time and space, but also protect yourself in that context where you don't know if you're actually doing more harm by screaming?
Well,
or
what I was
making,
saying is, what I was saying during the training is, if you are kidnapped and you're already in some room or something, that's
right.
when you pretend to be submissive and quiet while you're looking for an escape route.
Okay.
However, if somebody is trying to kidnap you, grab you on the street, or
right.
push you in a cab, you do anything and everything to fight back. You scream, you yell, you claw,
okay.
you go completely berserk.
Okay.
Because if they get you in that cab, or if they get you in the van or wherever, your likelihood of survival significantly decreases. So scream, yell, raise the voice, do anything if you think somebody's trying to take you and is going to harm you.
Okay. And is there any advice, I mean, from your CIA training, that you would mediate people if they felt like they were that deep in it and they needed to somehow get out, but maybe there wasn't anyone to hear them? So you could be a human lie detector, but how do you manipulate yourself out of a situation when you know what your chance?
Well, again, it depends what situation you're in. I mean, if some guy's right there grabbing you, take some self-defense classes. The very simple thing that all of us can do is a quick strike to the groin, and it doesn't matter if you're male or female, is everybody should do it. So it can be a punch, it can be a kick, it can be whatever, and that's an immediate strike. The guy's going to bend over, fall down, and hopefully give you a chance to escape.
Right.
Now, if it's further away, then just run. I mean, if some guy's 50 yards away and you just feel that he's coming on to you, is don't worry about, again, being awkward or being not with the societal norms. It's just start running down the street, even if you draw attention, because you're getting away from that potential attacker. Right.
And some of the really cool things that you taught were how to make the most of a situation if there is a weapon involved. In my personal experience, I always imagined, I was kidnapped when I was really young, and I imagined if something bad ever happened again, that I would probably freeze. And you predict this, that when you're in a shocking situation, sometimes, what was the word you had for it? When you freeze and you're kind of not functioning because you just don't know what to do? I mean, it's one of the benefits.
Well, it's called, there's many terms that are used, but one of them is negative panic, where you're just so shocked you freeze. And what I always tell people, when I said during the course you took, is freezing gets you killed. So in order to survive, you need movement. If the guy's coming at you, that movement is running away.
Right.
If you're sitting in a vehicle and somebody comes up to you and tries to carjack you, that movement is pushing the gas, going left, right, forwards, or backwards.
Right.
So to eliminate that freezing, people got to think ahead. Most people never even think. So like I said, going back to the home invasion scenario, is if you have a plan and somebody tries to kick in your door at 3 a.m., you've thought of that plan, you know what to do, and you're not going to freeze.
Right.
Whereas if you've never planned it, you're going to freeze when you hear your door getting kicked in and think, holy smokes, what should I do? And that precious time freezing can cost you your life.
Right. So pre-planning, precautionary action. One of the cool things, souvenirs coming from your training as well, are some of the cool things that come in your little bag. Can you explain what that is? Your little safety.
Well, there's several self-defense tools that I carry on me. One of my favorites is a tactical pen. And a tactical pen is a regular writing utensil, so it's a regular pen you can write with, but mine is made of aircraft-grade aluminum, so it's extremely strong, and it has a sharp point on the end. So with that sharp point, I can smash out a window if I had to escape a vehicle which was going in the water, or also I can strike somebody. So I carry a pen in my hand. If somebody were to grab me or whatever, I can strike them on the neck, I can strike them in the chest, and it's such a solid pen that it's going to hurt them. They won't hopefully come after me, and that strike will give me a chance to escape. So tactical pen is my favorite self-defense tool, something that I definitely recommend everybody carries, since many of us carry a pen anyway. And then other items I have a lockpick set, because I teach people, as you know, during the course, how to pick locks. And it's something which is surprisingly handy, because most people don't realize they have bad locks on their front door, and they need to upgrade. So a lot of people who take my training they go home after the training, pick their locks, and say, shoot, I'm glad I learned this. Now I need to go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy higher quality locks.
Right, and you got to practice a little too, because I know I was having a little difficulty with that one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just like everything, you got to practice and spend some time doing it.
And one of the other cool things, well, about the tactical pen itself is how multi-purpose it is. And yeah, you can, if you are in a compromising position in your car, you can crack the window, and if you go on the plane, it's actually something you can bring on the plane. They don't object. It's one of the only things you can bring on the plane these days, besides your clothing. But another thing was the door stopper, the immediate alarm. So to kind of set people off, so it feels like you're more at the advantage instead of just waiting for something bad to happen and wishing you had these tools.
Yeah, the door stopper alarm is one of my favorite tools. I think they're about $15. You just go online, do an internet search for a door stopper alarm, and it's a wedge that you put in front of a door. So it could be a dorm room. I personally use it every time I travel, so it always goes in front of my hotel room door. And if somebody tries to open your hotel room door, that wedge has a metal piece on top, and the door touches that metal, sounds off a very loud alarm, and then it alerts you, and probably people are going to flee when they have that alarm go off, but at least you'll be awake in case they still keep coming inside your hotel room or dorm room or wherever.
Right. So actually, let's bring up your website, spyescape.com, everyone, just so you can get a frame of reference. This is his website. This is where you get to learn more information about what his trainings all entail, and you can kind of get specific information to what you're interested in, right? Or do you have custom training? Or is it pretty much you have your one training that covers these topics? Or if people are really concerned about one thing over another, do you give them a little more concentrated energy in that sense?
Yeah, I do have custom training, and some families hire me for custom training. A lot of it, most of the custom training I do is for corporations. So a corporation will come to me and say, you know, I want 2 days of spy escape and evasion. I want 1 day of evasive driving and 1 day of hand-to-hand self-defense stuff. So I can customize anything depending on what somebody wants.
Sure. And you're located where? I mean, I'm pretty sure you're mobile, right? So how can people get a hold of you if they wanted to get in on these classes?
Well, the best way to get a hold of me is just go to the website, spyescape.com, because most of the classes, companies, corporations hire me, and I fly around the country doing them. But I also have a 320-acre property I call Spy Ranch in Cedar City, Utah, and that's where I do all the evasive driving courses. That's where I do my pistol courses and my rifle courses.
Definitely. So where do you see this course going in the future? Are you going to take it internationally or keep it in local for right now?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. We got a guy who I've been working with because people have wanted to take it internationally, and I'm just looking for the right business partner to help me do that.
Sure.
But I have a gentleman I just started working with, and he may take it over to Asia, and he wants to go to Great Britain and Australia.
Very good.
So I'm just so busy with everything going on in the U.S. It's just about finding the right business partner to help me take it overseas.
Makes sense. So if someone isn't as mobile as you, is there a chance they can get a hold of you and kind of get the nuggets of this training in a different context? Whether through Skype or how does that work?
Well, I mean, the best thing is, like I said, I customize everything. So the best thing is to go to my website. There's a contact us form. And then they tell me what they're looking for. And they say, hey, I want 1 day of driving, 2 days of rifle, 1 day of pistol, or whatever.
Okay.
And then we kind of just work with them to customize it to see what best fits for them.
Right. I mean, I didn't know what to expect going into this training, but I definitely got a wealth of information that spanned far beyond what I could have imagined we were going to get into. And it was really helpful to learn how to escape in the visual sense for people who have a concern for their safety beyond just the moment, trying to maintain socially your presence in a safe way. So what are some of the things that you teach people in that context where, you know, if you're in a domestic abuse situation and you really don't feel safe and you really kind of want to do the extreme and have a new lifestyle? Because unfortunately, it's sad, some people live under these circumstances. So what would you advise in that sense?
Well, yeah, that's something I teach, and it's how to it's how to disappear without a trace. So how to disappear is not that difficult. As you know, I teach that during the course. So it's a 3-step process of disinformation, misinformation, and reformation. Anybody can do it, but as I always say, it's mentally tough. So most people don't have the willpower to completely disappear, to never talk to their friends and family again, to never get on Facebook or touch the internet again. So that's why most people don't want to go through with it. But have had people come to me and say, I've got people coming after me. It's dangerous. Ex-husband, ex-wife, etc. And I can help them do that because it's not as difficult as most people think.
Right. Absolutely. And it's scary to have to even think about that's a resort people have to go to, but in this day and age, what are you going to do?
Well, you never know what's going to happen in life.
Yeah. And it's better to be prepared, and it's better to learn from other people's experiences, and I think it breeds confidence if you know what to do versus guesswork. That's not good.
Well, I mean, I would say you just said it. It's empowering. We had the Ferguson, Missouri riots where people are looting and rioting and doing all sorts of bad stuff. And I remember somebody asking me, hey, are you afraid? What if that happens all over the U.S.? What if it happens in every city? And I said, obviously, I hope that doesn't happen, but I'm prepared. I got plenty of food and water. I have self-defense tools. I know what to do, so I don't want it to happen, but I have peace of mind because if it does happen, I know how to take care of my family.
Very cool. And do people sometimes come back for a secondary training, like a refresher?
Yeah, they do. So, a lot of people will take the 2-day course, and then a year or two will go by, and they say, hey, Jason, I want to sign up again. So they take it, or some say immediately after they take the 2-day course, hey, I'd like to come and take the evasive driving course, or, now I'm ready to take the pistol and rifle course. So people usually come in through my spy, escape, and evasion course, and then end up signing for many other courses.
I mean, you're coming from a very unique perspective as an ex-CIA agent. So you have information I know from hearing from other guests who were at your training that even with their own police enforced training, coming from that background, they learn new things. So that's pretty cool and empowering. And it's not very often you get this specialized information from a very special character who can deliver it, give you a demo, and keep you updated on all the latest trends in safety and security, which is really important, in my opinion. And so, is there anything else that you definitely want people to take note of walking into this?
Well, I mean, it all comes down to situational awareness is one of the big things I teach, and that's, as you know, taught during the class, but you've got to be aware of your surroundings. So most people these days are texting, they're on their cell phone, they have no idea what's going on around them. And that's one of the biggest keys to staying safe, because you'll notice the bad guy approaching, or you'll notice something out of the ordinary if you walk into a restaurant, and then you can get out there. So I would tell people is to have better situational awareness, pay attention, because that allows them to escape most bad situations in the first place.
Right. And one of the big no-nos that I still need to work on a little bit is the texting while in your car but not going anywhere because your eyes are down, you're not aware, and you're just making yourself vulnerable. So what are some of the most vulnerable environments someone can be in? Parking lots? I mean, obviously, apparently you can be in mid-daylight at a grocery store and it's still relevant. But what are some of the other spaces and places people should really be conscious of?
Sure. Of course, then one of the big ones is when you're hiking or you're biking, you're running on a trail. So a place a lot of people go running on the morning. So those are less populated. Criminals know people are there and they can get them because it's less populated. And then also anything at night. So if you're walking out of the mall parking lot or the Walmart parking lot at night and your car's out in the middle of nowhere, you've got to be careful because criminals, again, know it's less populated. They're using the cover of darkness to try and attack you.
Right. I've always been concerned about that, hence why I'm not a jogger. But for people who jog, because obviously it's the whole lifestyle thing, and you don't want to live in this context of fear all the time. Mentally, how do you prepare yourself? And for joggers in particular, since that's such a common population, what tips would you give them? Because a lot of times they don't want to compromise their health and the enjoyment they get out of that environment. So what are some of the important things that they can do? Maybe even reiterating things we've covered, but if they could walk away with that.
Well, so I hate running, but I run every day just because it makes me feel good and gets me in shape.
That's true. That's true.
So I tell people, listen, carry a tactical pen. It's very easy. You can carry it in your hand. You can just clip it to a pants pocket or something, or your shorts pocket.
Sure.
So first, carry a tactical pen. have situational awareness, so that means don't run with earbuds in your ear, because that way you can't hear anything or hear somebody approaching.
Right.
And then try and go on trails which are more populated. So don't go alone in the woods on some trail you discovered where nobody else goes.
Right.
You want other people to obviously be there, so if you scream or something happens, they'll see you.
Right.
So those kind of 3 things will make sure you're in a better position than the average Joe.
Very good. I can appreciate that. I know your family feels more secure having this background and its special education. And I do wish you guys well. We're going to have to close out this segment for the evening, but I hope you guys walked away with some good information. We're not done yet. We're going to get some more updates from you, Jason, just so you know, and keep people informed and introduce this in a whole new way, give you some visual demos and whatnot as you see fit. So, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And everybody got to check out spyescape.com.
Thank you very much, Tara.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Sounds great.
All right. Have a good one, my friend.
You too. Bye.
All right. Bye. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you checking out this segment with Jason Hansen from thespyescape.com and Shark Tank and NBC Today and all that good stuff. I personally went to his trainings, and I can vouch for him. You'll learn more than you ever expected to learn. Okay? So you need to go. For your own personal safety, for your family's safety. Share this information with your friends. There's no one else who can teach you better, I don't think. I like being taught by an ex-CIA agent. Have a good one. Alright, you guys, it's not all said and done yet. You gotta stay tuned. I have testimonials coming and another look into the world of Jason Hansen safety training. Check out spyescape.com.
Just finished the super special spy secret trainings for speakers thing. It was awesome. I'm really tired.
We went to Jason Hansen's spy training and tactical maneuvering event, 2 days, 2 awesome days. I'm beat.
My biggest takeaway is the awareness, and that to realize that people are actually watching you. You might think that nobody cares, nobody's watching you, but they are. And some people for a good reason, and a lot of times for not the right reason. So always to be aware, not to be texting, to just be cognizant of what's surrounding you so that you aren't that easy mark. And all of the simple but extremely effective ways to keep yourself safe.
This far exceeded and surpassed the training that I've experienced in the military, and I highly recommend this to not just women but to men also.
You know, whether you're a speaker or a professional or just a concerned dad that want to protect your family and learn how to really get your house in order and know what to look for. The biggest light bulb I had was it's not so much about getting out of a bad situation, it's knowing how to not get into the bad situation.
For me, the experience with Jason has been really awesome because I used to be in law enforcement, so it means a lot to me personally, having taught sexually violent crime investigation after I left law enforcement, and the ability to reconfirm what I knew to make sure that it was ingrained in me correctly, and to be able to have the knowledge on how to reappropriate that information to other people.
This is training that probably every American citizen should take, because we are all subject to be vulnerable to all types of safety violations that we are unaware of, and Jason is right on the money with teaching us how to stay safe, how to feel secure, and he does it in a way that doesn't make you feel inferior and doesn't make you feel too vulnerable, and he doesn't make you feel foolish for not knowing these things. So I appreciate that.
Hi, I'm Georgia from Canada, and I also just finished the Speaker Survival Safety Training here in Vegas.
And it was awesome. I thought I was really aware before. I'd been through some other trainings, and Jason was great. It was a lot of fun. It was entertaining.
He is very friendly and he is very personable. So I would take his class again in a heartbeat, and it was worth every penny I paid. There's no amount of money that you could put on safety.
Great practical safety information, and I highly recommend it.
How to be in a certain alert level, what to watch for, and that was invaluable for the rest of my life. So
I highly recommend that everyone who has an opportunity to take this class as soon as possible.
So awesome. I'd recommend it to anyone, especially females who need to be here.
I highly recommend it. I'm sure that I'll be doing it again soon.
Jason Hansen.
Recently, you went to spy school. I went to spy school. Yes. It was so cool. It's a spy, escape, and evasion course. It's run by a former CIA officer who really knew how to keep our adrenaline pumping. Take a look.
Good Lord. Yeah, I mean, it gets real close to you. Wow, right there.
Being chased by a helicopter while speeding backwards through a barren desert is not something most of us will ever face.
I don't know where to look.
But in Jason Hansen's world, learning to harness adrenaline in the face of chaos can be the difference between life and death.
Nice. No, I mean, that was good.
In a real life situation, your heart is going to be pumping, but I want to give him the adrenaline rush. I want to put pressure on him.
Hansen is a former CIA officer, and in the middle of the Utah desert, he is leading me and a group of students from across the country into the shadowy and dangerous world of espionage.
Nice. Most important thing you need to remember.
It's spy.
Flip it over up here.
Escape.
We all remember how to ride a bicycle.
And evasion training. Part fantasy camp, part real-world survival camp, designed to bring out your inner James Bond.
Wow.
Did it? What made you think there would be a demand for this sort of experience?
Is because the world is just getting more dangerous every day, unfortunately.
On today's lesson plan...
Man, you're going, holy crap, fast.
Survival driving.
Go to the right, go to the right.
And ramming.
20 miles an hour, don't allow yourself to touch the brake. You make it look easy, Lester. Beautiful.
Do you ever worry that you're training some would-be Rambos?
It is really the average American who just cares about their safety.
Like corporate speaker and former fighter pilot Robert Schallenberger, who often travels abroad on business.
When the time to perform arrives, the time to prepare is past.
Your fingers are underneath the trigger guard.
Some of Hansen's classes include weapons training.
So she wrote. She wrote. A woman was found a few months ago.
Kidnapping is another not uncommon threat here and abroad. And that's where the escape part of the school comes in.
When people are kidnapped here in the United States and all over the world, duct tape is the #1 way that it happens. So your hands are coming apart as you're doing it.
Wow, perfect. That's unbelievable. The school also attracts its share of thrill seekers, like this newly engaged couple.
It's amazing what happens how you bond over something like this.
But for some, the chance to play out their Jason Bourne fantasy, to face the thrills and dangers only seen in the movies, is priceless. So the experience is pricey, but it's fun. I did learn some basic survival skills. Jason Spy School runs anywhere from $1,000 to for a 2-day course like the one I did to tens of thousands of dollars for private training. They do corporate.
Wrap this up.
Anyway, so you saw the duct tape thing.
Okay.
Now try. You can't get out of there, right?
No.
Okay.
Stuck.
Now watch this. Okay, watch me.
Okay.
I put my hand above my head and I just go. Yeah!
Go, ladies.
No, pull it out. Go like this.
It's not working. Why?
All right.
You take one. I think take
mine too tight.
See, it worked.
Yeah. Ow, that hurts my hand.
Oh, yeah,
I'm still stuck, people.
No, okay. Go like this, and then pull out like this. No, like this. Like, boom.
I did.
You can do this.
Somebody, please.
All right, tomorrow on Today. No.
I'll still be here. And
she got it. There we go.
Thanks for watching, my folks, and stay tuned.